All right, folks, so we're going to get started. We're going to get right into collecting data. So we're going to be focusing primarily on the index finger moving forward. And I think specifically I'm going to be focusing on the middle segment here. Now, I went through with a ruler and actually a caliper to measure my finger. You can totally get away with a ruler, and all these units here are in millimeters in this row. So I just went through and measured the tip to the fold, so top of my index finger to the fold here, the different segments, and then the widths of the distal and the proximal creases, and then finally thickness, so from the bottom of my finger to the top of the finger as well. So very rough, crude, like approximation, but pretty close, as close as I could get it, using the tools that I have at hand. Now, what you're going to be doing in honors, and I just decided to plug in here some random data for other folks' fingers, their dimensions, and I just crunched some numbers very briefly here to figure out, like min, max, median, mode, average, and on top of that, just for fun, made a very quick chart so I could see like how big people's fingers are. Again, this is just random data for person 1 through 4, so you might have some very strange hands coming out of that data if you were to actually draw them. Now, really all you need at first is your data. You don't need everyone's data yet. Once you have your data, you can hop to a sheet of paper or any application that you're comfortable with drawing in. I chose to use Figma just because it's easy peasy for me, and I actually used Henry Dreyfuss's hand diagram as like a reference image to draw my hand. I think I can turn it on here. Now I don't need all that data. I only need the data that I collected. And I just started to like cleanly and as clearly as I could dimension the measurements that I was getting on the hand here. Now, something to note, this is not to scale. So like 26.5 and 26 here, they're probably not the same distance in this drawing. You really only need this drawing just as a reference document for you. It's a little bit better than having a chart. If you do decide to make this to scale, it might be useful for you when you hit Onshape. So like if you actually were to trace your hand and then pop the dimensions next to it, that'll be quite useful when you hop into Onshape in a moment. So again, you're getting your data, you're plugging it into a chart. We're going to use that data to find some sizings. After you get your data, you need to draw out that data, a quick sketch with some dimensions, all the dimensions that you've gotten. You'll be getting the same dimensions that I have right here. Oops, and I'm copying that, don't want to do that. And then as a group in honors, we'll come back together, plug in our data, and then come up with a one-size-fits-all, a small, and a large. And you'll pitch them very briefly. Now, once we know either like we got a one-size-fits-all or a small and a large, we can then hop into Onshape and start modeling. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can start to take some of these simple dimensions and design a splint for one segment of your hand, or your finger, your index finger in particular for this design. All right, I'll see you in a moment.